Well, here we are in France, in my house there, at the cruise, and I'm going to now go into another series of these paintings that I loved doing before and I thought were probably my strongest work for a long time, on the Secret series. I'm going to do a load of the cafe scenes and so on, with the roller techniques and the brushes and sponges and things, very loosely, in this style between the abstraction and the figurative, more contemporary style, using acrylics. So I don't know how many I'm going to do yet. I've got about 20 photographs I can work from, scenes to work from. I'm certainly going to do 5 or 6 to start with, big ones again, and I hope you'll enjoy sharing those with me. It'll be a change to get away from the textural ones for a while. We're doing my own thing with these, and then hopefully shortly, soon as the weather gets better too, I should be painting out of doors on plein air. I've got some art students coming over in a week or two. I want to paint away with them, do some demonstrating and also do some filming outside for you there. So I hope you enjoy this series now. You've just seen the very loose way that I work here, sketching and drawing, a bit like Giacometti in a way, in a series of lines rubbing away if not quite right, just gradually building up within a basic framework. Now I shall work just as loosely into it with the background colours, gradually tightening up. So my old adage, start loose, you can finish tight. Start tight, you can't go loose again, that's very hard. So we'll start nice and loose, working all these background colours up, working textures over the top, and then gradually going finer and finer, after using the rollers with sponges, with brushes and so on, until we just tighten up to the amount that I want. And I want this in between, as I say, the figurative and the abstract. I want this fairly contemporary and loose in style. I don't want to be going into great detail on faces or into portraits or any part of it. I might just pick out the name here slightly on the cafe. There are certain salient points I'll go for. Haven't done one of these for a while, it's going to be fun. Sponge rollers first of all then. Well, before I start this picture, let me just explain some of the materials I'm using here. You can see I've got my nice big camera ready to film the actual piece for you being done. But let's have a look at the table and see what basic tools I'm going to need. With the amount of paint that I use, I tend to buy the larger bottles and things these days. It works out cheaper that way than having little tubes and messing about, because I use so much paint when I'm doing these. My photograph, of course, my set of brushes, mainly filberts, what I use most of all. I use about 9 brushes, the filberts ranging from large to small, and then some smaller round brushes and riggers and so on, and even textural brushes as well if I need them. They're nylon, they're a nice intermediate texture, because I don't want a brush that is too hard or it'll take the paint off, and a brush that's too soft will get clogged up. So a nice intermediate nylon filbert all round. Rollers, which are very important to me, these sponge rollers, because these are what I'm going to use most of all, especially at the start of the painting. I start my painting with these rollers in this case, and then finish with the brushes and textures. Some tubes of paint, jar of water, a little teaspoon to get some of the paint out of the pots if I need it, and the homemade Stay Wet palette, just paper towels wet in the bottom here, put my paint in, keeps them all nice and wet, keeps them wet for weeks. In fact, look, that's still wet now, and that's been there about 2 months now. So the first coats that I'm going to put on are going to be with a sponge roller. I won't use a large one as much. I tend to use this size most of all, but I've got 3 different sizes here. And we're going to cover the area as much as possible, working up from the medium tones towards the lights, and actually finish these paintings with the darks at the end. I tend to start with the medium tones and lights first. Medium tones working right the way through into the darks, and then highlights at the very end. first one in this series then, The Secrets again, people interacting together. So it gives it more than the dimension of just an image, a picture, a scene. We're thinking of what people are actually thinking, emotion. Then we've got still the same things, the abstraction, the contemporary feeling, the looseness, the impression of something, the light, the surface, and the placing of colours, and all of these things that happen within both the figurative and contemporary, with both figurative and abstract painting. And I wanted this contemporary feel as well. So we've kept it starting loose, finishing tight, as I was saying, and I started with the rollers almost all the way through and brought in the brushes at the end, just for the final tightening up. I didn't want to go any tighter than that, I want to keep it as loose as that, just an impression of light, nice contemporary feel, as I say. Let's move on to the next one.